Welcome to Shekelstorm NBA, your only source for real basketball. Now, we have a lot of racist commentators on ESPN, like Gilbert Uranus and Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith, who don't like white players. Whether that's Larry Bird, John Stockton, Luka Doncic, or Nikola Jokic, these guys don't like white players. And they've shown their racism as clear as day. I mean, Kendrick Perkins definitely doesn't like the fact that Nikola Jokic is a 3-time MVP. And Nikola Jokic got a lot of backlash for losing Game 7, even though he put it all out on the court with 35 points. The person that didn't put it out on the court with only 16 points was Anthony Edwards, the next Michael Jordan. And obviously the next media darling for ESPN. And not only did this guy only put out 16 points in a winning effort and got bailed out by his bench, to make matters even worse, he scored 19 points against the Dallas Mavericks. Now everyone's making excuses saying, oh, well, Ant Edwards affected the game in other ways. That is absolute bullshit. And we all know it. Michael Jordan could affect the game in other ways when he wasn't hot. But he's never, ever not been hot in the playoffs. Michael Jordan comes up big every time he goes into the postseason. And when he had one finals game where he was scoring low against the Seattle Supersonics, he still scored 25 points or more. So this narrative and these excuses that all these YouTube creators and ESPN are making for Anthony Edwards is unacceptable. Everybody needs to see that Anthony Edwards is an absolute fraud. The only person that is calling Anthony Edwards out is Jordan versus LeBron. That channel is the only channel that's not making excuses for Anthony Edwards. Because when you're taking my only student, the student that I taught everything, the undisputed GOAT of the NBA, and you're putting him next to a complete bum like Anthony Edwards, who got cooked by a 30-year-old man. A 30-year-old man who's a flat earther, for God's sake. This guy is a conspiracy theorist wearing a tinfoil hat, and Anthony Edwards, that clown, could not stop Kyrie Irving. He couldn't stop Kyrie Irving. 22 years old and you looking like you're gassed? Are you kidding me? You're supposed to be the next Michael Jordan. You're supposed to be the guy who's going to take it home for the Timberwolves. And I bet if the Timberwolves win the series, guess what? No matter how bad this fraud plays, he's going to get all the credit because he's a leader. This is how bad the NBA is when it comes down to being biased towards one player. And you know that there's a political agenda behind Anthony Edwards becoming the face of the league. This man has been in the NBA for 4 years already, has done absolutely nothing. And when he starts winning, now he's the next Michael Jordan. And then he got completely cooked on by a plumber. That's right, Luka Doncic, a guy who was bleeding from his knees and who's slow, unathletic, can't play basketball according to ESPN, and who has been completely ignored as of late for everything from statistical greatness to winning games. This man has been completely swept under the rug. I mean, it's just unbelievable to see how somebody can be so amazing. He's literally statistically close to Michael Jordan. And now he's back in the conference finals. And all they can talk about is Anthony Edwards, Anthony Edwards, Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is coming up small. Anthony Edwards is an absolute fraud and a clown. This guy better show up in tonight's game and drop 44 points. He better drop 34 points at the least. If he drops anything below 20 points, it's going to be concluded that Anthony Edwards is a complete fraud. And if you believe in Anthony Edwards, then you have a racial bias like no tomorrow. Because basketball only has one color, and that's green. Green, that's right. Basketball is all about making money. But the other color in basketball is orange. And there's nowhere in basketball where racial bias should be involved. It should only be about who's the best player on the court. So if you're an Anthony Edwards fan and Anthony Edwards comes up small and ends up winning the MVP, you are looking at the next LeBron James. You are looking at the next guy who's going to be compared to Michael Jordan and who is going to diminish Michael Jordan's legacy. And on Shekel Storm NBA, we are here to save Michael Jordan's legacy from fraudulent propaganda that is used to serve a political agenda. It's not going to happen while I'm alive and breathing, because I'm here for the money. I'm here for the money, but I'm also here for my greatest student, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. So guys, make sure to wear your sneakers like Skinny Hardaway says, and keep it shalom.